Before opening the massive oak door of Tyler's new office, I straightened my skirt and took a deep breath. Even after all this time, the entrance sign reading Tyler Perry, President, was fresh and polished. My worried-looking husband looked up from his computer. "Maya, my schedule is jam-packed. Please tell me." "I am not looking up," he said. An artificial grin spread across my face. "The Henderson account files are ready for you to review, and the staff meeting starts in 10 minutes. As if to dismiss it, Tyler waved his hand. "Stop it. I need to attend to more pressing matters. Everyone has been putting in a lot of time and effort this week to prepare for this meeting, Tyler. Your presence is anticipated by them." I said, "Cancel it." He snapped, continuing to fix his gaze on the screen. "That's an order, not a request." Repressing my annoyance, I blinked rapidly and bolted out of the room. As I shut the door behind me, I caught sight of Tyler's reflection in the window. I felt my pain dissipate as he returned his attention to his task. My heart was racing, so I leaned against the wall in the hallway to attempt to calm it down. Clearly, this was not the Tyler I had married. I once knew a man who was enthusiastic about architecture and devoted to his staff. He appeared to be losing his composure now that he had this new title. "Everything okay, Maya?" Concerned, I glanced up to see Tyler's dad, Scott, watching over me. He was nevertheless a frequent visitor to the office after retiring. I stood up straight and forced a grin. "Sure thing. It's simply a hectic morning. Scott, how are you doing?" His gaze was fixed on mine. "Look, you're not looking good, but I'm all right. Now, what has Tyler done?" Feeling conflicted between remaining faithful to Tyler and my increasing annoyance, I hesitated. This is truly not a big deal. Tyler is simply settling into his new position. A grave look crept into Scott's face. Adjusting or letting it go to his head? From the office, Tyler's voice exploded before I could respond. "The Queen, am I missing any files?" Taking the folder from my desk, I shot Scott a look of regret. "Duty calls." Tyler hardly raised an eyebrow when I returned to his office. "At last. Just shut the door behind you as you depart." "Tyler," I said, mustering up my bravery, "if you can't make it to this meeting, the team will suffer. A lot of effort has gone in, too." His palm hit the desk with force. "Just so you know, Maya, I am now the president. No one else, not even you, can tell me what matters most. Is that clear?" His shout shocked me, and I drew back in shock. "I'm merely attempting to lend a hand, Tyler. Your father's life revolves around this company, and—" "My father isn't in charge anymore," Tyler said, his tone cold and distant. "Oh, yes, I am. Perhaps you aren't meant to be here if you're unable to manage that." He slammed his lips down on my cheek. I tried to see the man I had fallen for in this stranger, but all I could make out was a man utterly bereft of strength and pride. "Very well," I murmured softly. "I'll cancel the meeting." Call came to Tyler's phone just as I was about to depart. After answering it, his voice took on an immediately endearing quality. "My sweetheart, Carol. Sure, I'm looking forward to our business lunch. See you soon," he promised. Reluctantly, I grasped the door handle. "Hi, Carol." The way he pronounced the name made me shudder, even though I was unfamiliar with it. Before he realized I was staring, I caught a glimpse of a mischievous grin on his face as I turned around. A sharp "What?" escaped his lips. "Don't you have work to do?" My head was spinning, so I silently nodded and bolted out of his office. As I announced the meeting was canceled, I was greeted by the dejected expressions of our colleagues outside. Their annoyance paled in comparison to the anxiety that was building up inside of me. "Could you tell me who Carol is and what kind of business lunch caused my husband to smile so broadly?" Sitting down at my computer, I had the awful feeling that my marriage and the firm could be unprepared for the storm that was about to hit. I got up bright and early the following day, intent on making up for yesterday's mistakes. There was an undeniable sense of anxiety as I made my way around the workplace. As I walked by, people stopped talking and instead smiled and nodded awkwardly. "Good morning, Maya," our head designer Evelyn yelled. "Any news on rescheduling the meeting?" I was conflicted about how to be forthright and careful with my remarks. "I'm putting it in my hat, Evelyn. In his new position, Tyler is still finding his footing." Then Evelyn arched an eyebrow. "Is it changing? Is that the new moniker?" The voice of Tyler resounded from his office before I had a chance to reply. "Hello, Maya. Right now, my office." With my guard up, I sprinted to his door. He was visibly agitated, pacing back and forth. With a forceful toss of papers, he demanded, "What on earth is this?" I looked down, and my heart sank. The design team had filed an official complaint about Tyler's delays in project approvals and his absence from crucial meetings. "Just frustration from the team, Tyler," I suggested calmly. "Can we arrange a meeting to address their concerns?" He scoffed. "Their concerns?" He sneered. "This isn't a daycare, it's a business. If they can't handle the pressure, they're free to leave." "This is the team your father trusted most, Tyler. They've been here for years." Anger flared in his eyes. "My dad isn't the boss right now. I am. I don't need to be questioned by a group of disgruntled designers." I took a deep breath, trying to stay composed. "Tyler, you don't seem yourself. What's really going on?" For a brief moment, I saw a glimpse of the old, uncertain Tyler, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared. "Nothing's happening," he snapped. "Just keep them in line and focus on your own work. Isn't that why I pay you?" His words stung. To me, I was more than just his employee. I was his partner, his spouse, but my confidence was starting to fade. I turned to leave, and just then his phone buzzed. A sly smile crossed his face as he glanced at the screen. "I'm about to go on my lunch break. Don't wait for me to call." "But Tyler, we have a client meeting scheduled at 2. He shrugged dismissively. "Reschedule it," he said, already heading out the door. As I watched him leave, a knot formed in my stomach. Something was wrong. It had become about more than just work. Back at my desk, I spent the rest of the morning in damage control, smoothing things over with upset clients and anxious employees. By midday, I was drained. A gentle knock on my cubicle brought me back. I looked up to see Scott, concern etched across his face. "Maya, can we talk?" I nodded, grateful for the brief pause. Scott sat across from me, his eyes serious yet kind. "I've been hearing things," he said softly, "about Tyler, about how he's running the company." My throat tightened. Scott had placed so much trust in Tyler, hoping he'd be the one to carry the company forward. I wasn't sure how to tell that it was falling apart. "Scott, I began, but he held up a hand. "Maya, you don't need to protect him. I've known something was wrong for a while. I kept hoping he'd grow into the role." Tears stung my eyes. "I don't know what to do," I whispered. "He ignores my advice and everyone's drifting away from him." Scott reached across the desk, giving my hand a reassuring squeeze. "We'll find a way to fix this, Maya. Together. This family and this company mean everything to me. I won't let Tyler ruin it." Just then, Tyler's voice boomed from across the office. "Who the hell is slacking off around here? We need to get this done, don't we?" Scott and I exchanged a look. The storm was only beginning. I stood steeling myself for the next crisis Tyler had created, but Scott's words echoed in my mind. Together, for the first time in a long while, I felt a glimmer of hope. But as I turned the corner, I saw Tyler. His tie was crooked, and there was a smudge of lipstick on his collar. Any hope had vanished. After a long day of trying to hold things together, I finally headed home, exhausted. All I wanted was a hot bath and a glass of wine. But as I reached for my keys, the door opened and a blonde woman stepped out. Her blouse was haphazardly buttoned and her lipstick was smudged. When she saw me, she paused, her eyes widening before she recovered. "Oh, you must be Maya," she murmured smoothly. "I'm Carol, Tyler's consultant." The pieces fell into place. The name on Tyler's phone, the lipstick on his collar. Everything clicked with painful clarity. "Consultant," I managed, barely able to speak. A sly smile curled on Carol's lips. "Yes, Tyler and I have been collaborating quite closely. He's quite the visionary." Tyler appeared in the doorway, his face pale as he saw us. "Maya, you're home early," he stammered. I searched his face for a hint of guilt or regret, but saw only fear and cold calculation. Carol was just leaving, he muttered, guiding her toward her car. They exchanged a knowing glance before she drove away, leaving me alone with a man I realized I didn't know at all. My thoughts were racing as I walked right by Tyler and inside. With an effort to clarify his position, he trailed behind. "No, Maya, it's not at all what you expect. Carol is only lending a hand with some fresh endeavors." Ideas were flying around in our heads. My voice rose as I faced him. "I implore you not to." "Tyler, you have my word. At this very moment, no." He was unsure of himself, and he paused. I had no intention of this happening. I mean, it did. It just happened." My voice quivered as I spoke, "as if you were careless with your job duties, and it happened to you. As if it were a random occurrence that you treated our friends and employees like they weren't important." Frustration set in Tyler's features. "You have no idea how much stress I'm in. I am left with unfulfilled shoes by my father. This is all I'm capable of doing. How about I have an affair?" By bringing the firm to its knees, I fired back. His face betrayed his level of frustration as he halted. "Things became tricky, but I can figure this out. There is a way to resolve this." A sour chuckle escaped my lips. "Almost. Tyler, we are no longer a unit. You guaranteed it." I knew that was true as I said it. His treachery and my naive faith destroyed our marriage and our partnership. There was a sudden ring on Tyler's phone. Glancing at it, he appeared torn. "It's Carol, isn't it?" "Sha," I whispered. Affirmation was his word. "Maya, please, let me explain." My patience had run out, and I had stopped trying to justify him. I reached for my keychain and made a beeline for the exit. "Where are you going?" I was pursued by Tyler. "Get away from you," I responded. "I need to think." My vision became hazy with tears as I sped through the pitch-black streets. What had led to this point? The life we had created together, the man I loved, it was all falling apart. When my phone rang, the screen lit up with Scott's name. I was taken aback before responding. "Is everything well with you, Maya? You departed from the office at such a rapid pace," he remarked, his voice betraying his genuine anxiety. Everything that had been bottled up inside of me, my heartbreak, the company's situation, and Tyler's affair, emerged as a result of his kindness. Scott was attentive as I spoke, and he spoke in a low voice after I ended. "Maya, I apologize deeply. I am the one to blame. I should never have subjected Tyler to that amount of strain." I emphasized that it was not my fault. Tyler made his own choices. Scott heaved a sigh and said, "Maybe. Now it's up to us to make our own. Visit my home. We'll work through this as a team." I felt an unusual serenity as I drove approaching Scott's neighborhood. It was no longer a secret that Tyler had betrayed me, but I was far from alone. A glimmer of energy returned, the first in months. There would be no more evasions or unquestioning allegiance. I would confront whatever lay ahead directly. The moment had come to defend not only myself, but also the place that had become my second home, the Enterprise. I ignored the snickers and sideways looks the following morning as I confidently entered the office. I felt re-energized after yesterday night's conversation with Scott. What I witnessed as I rounded the bend, though, was completely unprepared for. Standing in the center of the office, Tyler had Carol's waist in his arm. Her outfit, a pencil skirt, and a blouse, was suing me for my own style a few months back. Everyone, Tyler declared with an air of self-assurance. Meet Carol. I think you'll like her. As a special consultant, she will be joining our team. My pulse was pounding as I met Tyler's eyes. He seemed to be daring me to answer with his look. With a smile on her face, Carol made it clear that she was embracing her new position in the firm and the companionship of Tyler. The one who spoke out initially was Evelyn, who is our lead designer. However, we currently have a complete squad, Mr. Perry. As for Maya will be assisting Carol in getting settled. Tyler skillfully interrupted. Won't you, dear? I was the center of attention. My coworkers' emotions, a mixture of sympathy and interest, were palpable. Breathing deeply, I mustered a smile, which seemed more like a grimace, but I kept at it nevertheless. Certainly, I mustered up the courage to say, "Welcome aboard, Carol." A flurry of fake smiles and submerged stress ensued for the following several hours. I went to my office in an attempt to get some work done, but thoughts about Tyler's treachery kept coming back to haunt me. Interrupting my train of thought was a tap on the door. Scott was there, looking worried. "I just heard it, Maya. How are you doing?" Refraining from sobbing, I shook my head. "Scott, I'm not sure I can handle much more. Tyler seems intent on causing me harm in every way imaginable." Scott became grave-faced. "This is now over. An emergency board meeting is being called. It's been taken to an extreme." Tyler burst into the room, his rage visible on his crimson face, before I had a chance to reply. "What on earth are you doing, Dad?" He growled angrily. "Right now, this is my business. I don't think you can storm right in here and—" "Enough," stopping Tyler in the middle of his sentence. Scott's voice was forceful. "You have devalued all that I have laboriously established. You need to deal with the fallout now." Tyler drew in his brows. "There will be what? I'm only in the beginning." He retrieved an envelope from his jacket and threw it upon my desk. "Consider this my first official act as president." I opened the letter with trembling hands. Tyler had already signed the divorce papers that were inside. I could feel his icy gaze on me. "You're fired," I said, my voice filled with shock and pain. Tyler laughed with an icy tone. "Can we fire you?" "Oh my goodness, Maya. This career, this marriage, everything. I'm freeing you from it all." My entire world came crashing down as I gazed at the papers. Nothing more than a few pages of legals after all that time, and all our hopes and desires. "Tyler, please," Scott pleaded with him, attempting to soothe his anxiety. "Consider your actions. Maya is the rock upon which this business has rested. Missing her, when she is no longer a part of it, we can go on," Tyler said abruptly. "Confront it, Dad. This is not the way things are done anymore. In the future, Carol and I intend to do great things." Some weird serenity washed over me while they argued. Tyler, this stranger with my husband's likeness, caught my eye as I glanced at the divorce papers. I made a choice right then. I whispered, "I'll sign," interrupting their angry tirade. Both guys looked at me as if I were crazy. A smug grin spread across Tyler's face as he became the first to recover. "Logic will prevail." "I knew it would, Maya. In all honesty, it's for the best." My eyes remained fixed on his. "Tyler, I agree with you. Not for the reasons you may expect, but everything will work out well in the end." A burden was lifted from my shoulders when I signed the paperwork. Even if Tyler had ruined our marriage, I had had enough of playing the victim. Announcing my resignation, I stood up, effective immediately. Riley's grin disappeared. "Oh, really? How? No way can you simply—" "I am capable of doing it," I declared with conviction. "Tyler, I wish you the best of luck as you take over this organization. It will be necessary for you." Carrying my head proudly, I stepped out of the office and heard Scott's voice calling out to me, "Maya, wait." Then I halted and went around. Scott's expression was one of both pride and resolve. "Have a proposition for you," he pointed out, "one that might just save this company and give you the fresh start you deserve." A glimmer of optimism returned to me after months of despair. No matter what happened, I was prepared to deal with it alone. At a later time, while sipping my hot tea, I sat across from Scott in his comfortable home office. For the last several days, thoughts of the storm have raced through my head. "Maya," Scott started, his voice steady yet determined, "my nonprofit architectural trust is looking for someone like you to join our team. Your ethics and expertise are much needed." Shock caused me to blink. "What about the business, though, Scott? Will Tyler be okay?" Scott stated Tyler made his choice, with a trace of melancholy in his gaze. "Now it's time for you to make yours." Evelyn sent a text message to my phone at that very moment. "Help, please. This place is in utter disarray. Carol and Tyler are ruining the business. You are essential, Maya." Anxiety gripped me. The firm and the individuals I had worked with for so long remain very important to me, no matter what. I am in need of a moment to reflect," I informed Scott. He understood and nodded in agreement. "Sure thing. Be careful not to linger. Neither of us is surprised that Tyler will destroy all we've worked so hard to create." I sighed and stepped into the workplace for the final time the following morning to pack up my desk. As I walked by, everybody stopped talking and the tension in the air increased. Evelyn showed up at my door, her expression one of concern as I gathered my belongings. "It is a miracle that you are here, Maya. It's really chaotic. While Tyler shelved 4 major projects, Carol reassigned teams without considering their abilities. The clients are absolutely ranting." Repressing the flood of feelings that were building up inside of me, I inhaled deeply. "Evelyn, I'm no longer employed here," I declared with a tense voice. "None of that exists." "I am capable of handling it," I declared. Evelyn's expression changed. "Are you really going? However, how do we fare? Where does the business stand?" The hall erupted in Tyler's shouting before I could respond. "Maya, what are you doing here?" He strutted smugly into my office, followed closely by Carol. I responded calmly, just grabbing my things, not letting him frighten me. Tyler drew in his brows. "Very well. Get out of here as soon as possible. Let Carol take care of your responsibilities." It made me laugh out loud. Would she be able to do it? Is that why there's anarchy among the employees and clients are threatening to quit? With her neatly manicured nails, Carol moved forward and began to dig into Tyler's arm. "I'm really loving it. According to Tyler, I'm quite gifted." When asked if I was sure he did, I responded with an air of detached certainty. But running a successful architectural firm takes more than just being a natural. A flush of wrath spread across Tyler's cheeks. "The time has come. Excuse me, Maya. No one will welcome you here." I heard a rustle in the hallway and quickly gathered my things from the box. With 3 board members at his sides, Scott marched in. "What's going on?" According to Tyler, it was imperative. Scott's tone was authoritative. "Hey, Tyler, a board meeting is in the works. This company is in jeopardy due to your recent decisions, and we are here to talk about your presidency." Even Tyler's self-assurance faltered. "This is too much for you. At this point, I am the one leading the charge." One of the board members stated, "We'll see about that," with a serious expression as they made their way to the conference room. Scott turned to face me again. "Maya, we could use your insights in this meeting, if you're willing." I was conflicted about staying and cleaning up the mess or staying and being loyal to the firm I had helped build. Tyler scowled. "She's no longer employed here, Dad." Her voice is silenced. A sudden realization hit me. I stood tall after setting down my package. "In all honesty, I'm considering sticking around for this meeting. It seems like no one else has a clue about how this organization actually functions." Scott beamed with satisfaction as Tyler Stutter talked, and Carol gasped. I was overcome with resolve the moment we stepped into the conference room. It had become about more than just me. All eyes were on preserving Scott's legacy and the jobs of those who worked here. I was prepared to battle for the people and the firm, not for Tyler or our shattered marriage, no matter what happened next. It was about time I proved my abilities to everyone, but notably Tyler. As I broke down the company's condition for the board, tensions ran high. Countless reports and spreadsheets demonstrated just how dire the situation had become during Tyler's tenure as CEO. 3 major clients have left in the past month, I said, maintaining a steady voice despite my rushing heart. Our reputation in the industry is sinking, and staff morale is at its lowest. Anger and disbelief caused Tyler's face to turn red. I can't believe this. All is well with us. Some new tactics that Carol and I have been developing will. That will what, Tyler? Scott interrupted with a harsh tone. Drown us even further. There is no denying the data. As the board members worriedly exchanged stares, I observed. At stake was the fate of the business, and now was the decisive moment. Carol, who had adamantly demanded to be present, raised her voice. Yet, Tyler, you have been an inspiration. He's been staying late at the office every night, brainstorming. I felt the need to sneer. Does that describe it? Because all I can see is a floundering business and a president who seems to prioritize his own interests over those of the country. Anger sprang out of Tyler's eyes. Maya, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're only resentful because I progressed. Moved on. I let out a sharp chuckle. First you ruined our marriage, and now you're bringing down our business. That is destroying everything, Tyler. It is not progress. The longest-serving board member, Mr. David, cleared his throat. I believe we have heard everything. It's obvious that this company needs a major intervention. Tyler whitened up. What are you saying? I'm saying, he said, that we need to think about new leadership, effective immediately. The room erupted into utter mayhem. Board members fought between themselves as Tyler yelled and Carol sobbed. I sat silently through it all, experiencing an unusual sense of peace. Tyler looked at me with a look of despair on his face. Maya, please, he pleaded. Please lend me a hand. Permit me to take care of this. Inform them that we can resume our previous collaboration. I turned to him, the man who had been my constant companion in all my endeavors. Just for a split second, I felt like I was back with the old Tyler, terrified, exposed, and in need of assistance. Then I was brought back to reality as Carol's hand tightly gripped his arm. Tyler, I apologized softly, but you made your choice, and now you have to live with it. Scott sprang to his feet, his voice rising above the din. I propose that we take a vote on whether or not Tyler should remain CEO of this company. Please raise your hand if you support ousting Tyler as president. As the hands traveled up and down the table, it was as if time stood still. A B and C, much more than half. When Tyler understood what was going on, his expression turned glum. This isn't fair. Joyful Carol let out a scream. You can't do this to us. I accomplished it. For the time being, the business was secure since Tyler had left. Scott took me aside as the meeting came to a close. Hello, Maya. We are counting on you. We rely on you at work. We need your assistance in rebuilding. Will you return? Because I wanted to be of service, but yet wanted a new beginning, I was conflicted. Tyler came up to me, his crimson, anxious eyes betraying his desperation, before I could respond. Maya, please, he pleaded with heaven. Stop them immediately. No one knows me more intimately than you. If given another opportunity, I am confident I can resolve this. Feeling the pressure of their expectations, I glanced between Tyler and Scott. My personal and the company's futures were both precariously balanced. In the end, I knew it wasn't about rescuing a company. It was about proving my value, asserting my independence, and protecting all I had worked for. Deliberated for a moment before making a choice. Everything would be altered by whatever occurred thereafter. With my back to the audience, I stood at the podium, ready to deliver my speech. As the newly appointed interim CEO, it was my responsibility to convene the company-wide meeting and choose our next steps in light of the recent turmoil. As many of you are aware, I started maintaining a steady voice despite my rushing heart. Our company has had a hard few weeks. However, a fresh start is underway today. I caught a glimpse of Tyler, who appeared exhausted as he retreated to the far corner of the room. Carol did not appear anywhere. We've lost clients, and yes, we've faced setbacks. I said more. But the heart of this company, the talent, dedication, and vision that each of you brings, that hasn't changed. The audience reacted with a low-volume nod of approval. I continued by outlining our strategies to restore faith from clients and steady our financial footing. I could feel the optimism rekindling in my coworkers' eyes as I spoke. Out of nowhere, Tyler's voice was heard. "This is all lies." His stride down the aisle caused heads to turn. "Maya is attempting to take over my business. It was her intention to force me out of here." Everyone in the room let out a gasp or mumble. I clenched my fists on the podium, trying not to freak out. "Tyler, this isn't the right place or time," I whispered. With his cheeks red from wrath, he yelled out, "It's exactly the time." "Had my own father betrayed by you? The board was altered by you." A stern voice from the side of the stage said, "That's enough," and it was Scott. As he approached, he put a comforting hand on my shoulder. "Tyler, you brought this upon yourself. We arrived at this position because of your deeds and choices." Tyler glanced over at us, his expression betraying his desperation. "Please, Dad, she must not be allowed to do this. It is the legacy of our family." A small change occurred in Scott's face. "The name on a building isn't everything, my son. A legacy is much more. Being honest, working hard, and treating our employees and customers well are the guiding principles. Maya is cognizant of that. You should do it now as well." A profound stillness enveloped the entire space. I could sense that everyone was watching our every move, eager to witness the resolution of this family drama. As if the battle had sapped all energy from him, Tyler appeared exhausted and his shoulders drooped. "Is that all?" He inquired whether I were simply out. I gingerly made my way over to him, stepping down from the podium. "No, Tyler, this isn't the end. You can still find success here. You just need to put in the effort." The guy I once loved appeared to me, frail and uncertain for an instant. Nevertheless, he subsequently became more expressionless. "Neither your sympathy, Maya, nor yours, Dad, are necessary. Look, I'm going to launch my own business. I will construct something that is larger and more superior." And with that, he strode out into the startled stillness. With hundreds of eyes fixed on me, I made my way back to the podium. Neither my position nor the company's future would be the same after this. I empathized that was difficult to perceive. I started, my voice slightly trembling. It does, however, demonstrate the purpose of our gathering today. None of us are in this business for our own narcissism or ambition. What matters most is that we, as a group, collaborate to achieve our goals. I glanced over to my coworkers and waited, as if looking for a sign of direction. Some appeared uncertain, while others were eager. "I assure you, this will not be a picnic. There is a long road ahead of us, but I assure you that I will make decisions that are in the best interest of this firm and its employees. There are no more of you." I felt a burden fade away as I continued to sketch out our strategy. That was the most challenging aspect. His final effort to confront me had been unsuccessful, and Tyler had departed. At last, I was given the opportunity to lead according to my own standards. I noticed a trace of worry, though, when I looked into Scott's eyes. Even though this chapter was coming to an end, I could feel a new one starting. Up ahead, our company's strength and my leadership would be put to the test. I gazed out over the city from the window of my new office 5 months later. Suddenly, the perspective changed. It wasn't merely that I was inside Scott's Charity Trust's facility. It was also that I had new perspectives. Interrupting my train of thought was a rap on the door. "Come in," I summoned. Evelyn walked in, her face radiating with joy. "Maya, this is unbelievable. Henderson Project is in our possession." I felt compelled to grin. Responsible and imaginative design like the Henderson Project was my lifelong dream. "What a remarkable thing, Evelyn. The group is probably ecstatic." "They are," she said, nodding before she paused. "And there's something else you should know." I waited with an eyebrow up. Evelyn inhaled deeply. "Tyler's business. It has been declared bankrupt. They initiated the Chapter 12 process earlier today." A tidal surge of news washed over me. Somehow, through it all, I held out hope that Tyler would figure things out. "And Tyler?" Shy whispered it. "He's been missing for days," Evelyn said, her head nodding in agreement. "Carol, on the other hand, was here previously seeking employment, and Tyler allegedly gave her nothing in return." Soaking it all in, I slumped into my chair. Truly, the Tyler with whom I had previously loved and had a life had vanished. Instead, it was a tale of how fast prosperity can crumble if it is based on shaky ground. The way Scott materialized at the doorway was almost as if he sensed my yearning for him. "Heard the news," he whispered softly. "How are you holding up?" Somehow I pulled off a shy grin. "No worries. Everything is so overwhelming." With a blend of pride and anguish in his eyes, Scott gave a nod. "You've accomplished incredible things here, Maya. Lives are being transformed by this new arm of the trust and the initiatives you're spearheading." "We're making a difference," I queried, correcting him. "I couldn't have done this without your support." He disregarded my gratitude. "You were the one, Maya. You transformed an ugly situation into a lovely one. That's amazing." I was left to ponder my own thoughts as Scott and Evelyn departed. All of a sudden, Tyler was in my thoughts, along with the hopes and dreams we had shared in the past. My mind wandered to Carol and how her pursuit of fame and fortune had failed her miserably. But I mostly considered my own needs and wants. At this point, the timid, eager-to-please woman I had been at the beginning of this seemed like an alien. Interrupting my train of thought, my phone chimed. "This is Tyler," reads the text message sent by an unknown phone. "How about we have a conversation?" As I fixated on the television, my pulse quickened. The opportunity would have been too good to pass up 5 months ago. Now I paused, inhaled deeply, and returned to typing. "I've moved on, Tyler, and I apologize. Peace be with you." Feeling the final remnants of my former existence dwindle as I hit the send button. With endless opportunities and potential, the future unfolded before me. A rap on the door prompted my return. My group was there, and we couldn't have been more excited to begin planning the Henderson Project. As I grinned, I invited them inside. "Let's create something amazing." I was filled with profound appreciation when we sat down at the conference table and ideas began to flow freely. Here I belonged, not defined by Tyler or anyone else, but by myself among friends and family who loved and appreciated me. This location of resilience, direction, and self-discovery was my destination, the result of a long and winding road. I could see that my team's best was still ahead of them because of their enthusiastic expressions. I took out a marker and proclaimed, "Let's envision the future side by side." I knew I had finally found my happily ever after as we started to draw out our plans. This was the moment, the job, the life I had rebuilt from the ashes of my previous one. It wasn't out of a fairy tale, but it was something even better, a new beginning that I had created with all my heart and hands. I was prepared to face whatever difficulties arose on the path ahead, even though they might not always be smooth. I realized for the first time that my value was independent of other people's thoughts and deeds. It was born out of my own inner fortitude and perseverance. For me, that was the pinnacle of success.